So, yeah, so this is our 4th attempt of doing a video this week, at least for me. So to give you all a rundown, it's Friday night here, 9:40 PM Eastern. Garrett over here, Adam over there. And earlier on Monday, I attempted to do a brief, quick mulleting during the day at work. Um, like, middle day of the work, right? Tried to drop it in our Skype chat. Unfortunately, due to it was trying to tell me that it was too big for a VLC file, even though so I was like, "Alright, I'll just save this for I'll do it later." Then big news happened for the Red Wings, which wasn't the b all of it. We'll talk about that later on. However, we didn't get to it. So by the time it all came down to this and we tried last night with some new stuff, we finally got together. We're doing it the quick and easy way, YouTube Live. So, um, Adam, it's Friday. We made it through another week.
I'm beat, man. I am beat. Um, Unfortunate for the Tigers tonight, but I mean, they were due one of
Yeah.
those types of losses. I think it was Tony Paul that tweeted that this was probably going to be the toughest game of the series,
Yeah.
and that's what it came out to. With a final 7-1 tonight,
Yeah.
they got hammered early. They got beat up early. But you know what? You just I don't know, go look at Tony Paul's tweet. You set this one aside, you just chalk it up to a bad night. You look
Yeah.
towards tomorrow. This team is still very, very much in the race, obviously. Um,
Yeah, to give you a rundown base to give you kind of some background into that. So Tigers started the week off after defeating the Orioles 2 out of 3 at home in Comerica. Went into Kansas City and did what I didn't think any of us think they were gonna do. Snap they sweep the Kansas City Royals, win in 3 different ways, and go into night as you're talking about, an Orioles team that ended their skid yesterday against the Giants. And, the one thing about the Baltimore Orioles is they can fucking hit. They we can pitch, Baltimore can hit. All 7 runs by Baltimore today came off home runs, 5 home runs. Anthony Santander opened things up. Cowser with 2, James McCann with 2. I was like when I saw James McCann up, because I don't I this is like my big baseball comeback year, and I'm like, I see James McCann stepping up and hitting dingers against us. I was like, "Damn, dude." Um, but yeah, I agree with you, dude. I mean, I'm not it's a long season, and you're gonna have these games happen to you, especially on a Friday night at Camden, um, against an Orioles team like that, and, it's like if your bats aren't working, that's gonna be that way. That happens. What I am impressed by is how this team did not quit tonight. Um, Made a little bit of a rally late in the top ninth, got the run, got a couple of guys on. Parker Meadows flies out to end it. So, um, I feel good.
well, I'd hesitate to call it. I'd hesitate to call it. They had no quit. I mean, they were down by 7 runs. So I
Didn't
don't know.
Yeah,
It's. I mean, it's not. I don't know. I like I said, I hesitate to say that they had no quit. They got their asses kicked tonight. I
yeah,
mean, I don't think no quit or anything like that had anything to do with it. It's just, they got their asses kicked early. They couldn't rebound from it. They couldn't find any of that magic, and it was really too much. I mean, asking a team to come back from 7 runs down, that's too much.
yeah,
Despite all the magic that they've had, these last several weeks, really since August. But um, like I said, I mean, it's just you chalk it up to a bad night. You put it aside. You put it behind you because right now Tigers can't afford to sit here and dwell on anything. They need to go back tomorrow night and you know
yeah.
continue to play like they have throughout the throughout most of September.
So Tigers go into tonight. We're tied with Minnesota. Minnesota does have the edge due to the 7-6 tiebreaker. It is 1-1 right now in Boston between the Twins and the Red Sox. That Twins just finished batting top eight, so now the Red Sox are due to bat in here in the bottom of the eight. Kansas City Royals, who are 2 games ahead of us, but technically it's like another half game when you consider the Royals also have the 7-6 tiebreaker. Giants are 2-0 up in that game. Another game to take a look at, though, the Seattle Mariners are up in Texas because the Seattle Mariners are 2 games back in the wild card. Um, I'm gonna ask you this question because I was just thinking about this. You and I have caught a lot of experienced a lot of baseball in our lives. Is this maybe potentially the most fun baseball's ever been in our lifetime? When you look at,
The most fun
uh
since in our lifetime? Not even
Or
close.
but when is this the most fun it's been in a while, at least, when
I
you
mean,
think about
it's been the most fun in 10 years. I mean, because
yeah,
that's exactly how long it's been since the Tigers have been in the playoffs. So
but I'm thinking as
that
a league in the whole when I'm watching Indian not just Detroit, I'm watching it in general because 'cause I'm thinking,
no,
I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe I just got this
not
bug and I
even.
haven't
I mean, did you totally forget about the World Series teams? Did you totally forget about 2013 and
I'm not
2012
I'm
and
not talking just about the Tigers, I'm talking about Major League Baseball as a whole. I'm
no, because do
talking
you remember? I mean, do you remember when they used to have game 163s? I
yeah,
mean, the
that's fair.
whole reason why they changed the format of the playoffs is because I can't remember exactly what year it was,
Brandon
but
Edge, 2009?
there were like 3 or 4 games on one night where it was just all coming down to all these individual games, and then the MLB tried to capitalize off of that by changing the playoff format.
Yeah,
So, I mean, yeah, this is fun, it's great, it's awesome that, that they've been able to, erase that deficit and come back and make shit fun. But yeah, I'm sorry. This is in no way one of the most exciting that I've felt when it comes to watching Tigers baseball. For some people, it will be. For younger people, who are maybe in their mid-teens or whatever. Yeah, they've never seen a Tigers team win before. But yeah, this has been the most fun in quite some time, but yeah, not
yeah.
ever.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just enjoying the league so much this year. I think in general, not just Tiger stuff, but and I think I'm also enamored by like yesterday, uh, Shohei Ohtani going what 6 for 6, fucking 3 home runs, 3 stolen bases. Hits 50-50, first person to ever do that.
It's the
But
best baseball, best. Yeah, he's insane. Best player of this generation, without a
yeah,
doubt.
another fun stat line that you mentioned when you were talking about 10 years ago, real quick. Unless the Phillies and Dodgers both win out, if they don't win out, if the Phillies lose one more game, the Dodgers lose one more game for the first time since 2014 in a 162 game year, there will not be a team with 100 wins in a regular season. Coincides with the
Shows,
last.
yeah. I mean, a lot of parity this year in baseball, which makes for a fun season. So, I
Yeah,
mean, I can see why people are getting back into it this year. It has been a fun year. I mean, given the storylines with Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, and obviously, now these playoff races to close out the season. It's been a good year for baseball. It really has. I mean, and you don't want to see teams go and just, run away with shit.
right.
And even in us being Tigers fans, another exciting aspect of it too is the Chicago White Sox. in their futility, and them getting ready to break some records of their own, as just being such a shit team this year. I personally love seeing that. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm
um
100% for it. I hope they lose
yeah,
every
yeah,
game in the rest of the season.
watching that team just fucking tailspin is great. So
To give you a fun factoid for people on here, when Adam, myself, and our friend Mike Feldbush Yachty gathered on April Fool's Day to talk baseball and preview the baseball, we were thinking that the AL Central was going to be a lot like last year, where there was only one team with a winning record. Four teams have a winning record, but the AL Central as a whole is still under 500 because of the fucking Chicago White Sox.
that's okay.
That's
I'll
baseball for you. That's
Yeah,
baseball for you.
I don't really care about that, just because the trade-off is the Chicago White Sox being so bad,
Yeah.
and them them surpassing, because they will do it. They will surpass 119 um loss mark from.
They're in San Diego for 3 this weekend, and then
Yeah,
they
and
gotta
I
play the Angels for 3 at home, and then they gotta come to us the end of the season.
yeah, they may win 2 of 3 against the Angels, but um yeah, they're losing this series, and they're losing the final series at the end of the season. So
I also think yeah, I think it's just incredible, and, you were talking about parity. I'm looking at to last note, and then we'll transition. Uh I'm looking at parity this year, and I'm looking at something like the Dodgers with an insane amount of payroll in Major League Baseball. Something that's very much like they've seen what the Yankees teams of our 2000s and stuff have done and taken it to another level. But
Mhm,
even then, the Dodgers aren't blowing away the NL West. There's 3 teams that are 4 or 5 games back going into the last week. And I think that's a good sign too. Like it's just, and I think that's just good in general for the game. Um, and I hope that it continues this good run in general too. Like I hope we get a, you know, and maybe it's just I'm catching this good wave and a good feeling. But yeah, man, it's a good vibes
well, I
for the
mean I
most
mean,
part.
these teams, I mean, I don't blame the Dodgers for spending money. If you have it, you're willing to
Yeah.
spend it, then do it. I mean, I wish Chris Ilitch would fucking spend some money too on the roster. Um,
Oh,
but I mean,
that's a great transition for what we're about to talk about next.
but it just goes to show that it doesn't matter how much you spend. That doesn't always necessarily translate into World Series, or championships for that matter, because it transcends other sports. I mean, we see it in basketball. We see teams try to assemble these super teams. In hockey, hockey maybe not so much. I mean, basketball and baseball are kind of the bigger culprits in this, but
Hockey pre-lockout,
hockey
pre-salary
hockey
cap.
pre-locky yeah, hockey pre-lockout, pre-salary cap. In fact, I mean,
Well,
perhaps
but
a bad
yeah,
example, but the last super team in hockey did in fact win a Stanley Cup, and that was the Detroit Red Wings in 2002. So
God, yeah. When we're like we were the hockey's version of the New York Yankees, and in this instance, I was not ashamed to say that, because we wanted another cup then. Uh, Great transition because we were talking about Chris Ilitch and not spending money on the Tigers. Uh, so the first time I recorded this week, it was Jonathan Berggren was the Wins of Jonathan Berggren back 1 year, $825,000 annual value. I think that's great business for both player and team, especially when you look at how, like, some of the other moves that have been made in the offseason. I saw some people predictions saying Bergeron could slot in that 3rd line.
mhm.
Um, and I'm like, "Okay, that's just a good Monday, right? Get done with work, go see my mom for her birthday. Happy birthday, Sherry. See you this weekend." And I get done with the birthday coffee, hang out with my mom, and I looked at a notification on my phone. It's like 6:30 PM. Lucas Raymond, 8 years, don't have the annual value, just a little north of 8,000,000.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and that piece of business, I'm like, all right, great, let's go. We were waiting. We've been waiting with bated breath. Which one was gonna, when were we gonna get it? Who was gonna get it, and how much? So then it was like, all right, one down. Raymond's done. What's the most cider deal gonna be? Because you've seen Steve Eiserman talk about Dylan Larkin's your top at 8.7. He's gonna be who's where are you gonna slot cider? Yesterday afternoon, fears were quelled. Moritz Seider re-signed 8.5, somewhere in the 8.5 annual value, but 7 years instead of 8. Um, how are you feeling on both the Raymond and Seider deals, Adam? Berggren returning for a year, um, and did Steve nail it?
Stevie 100% nailed it. Bergeron gets a prove it deal this year, which is fine. Um, Obviously, the huge wins though when it comes to Raymond and Sider's deals, though, and I'll tell you why. Because you're able to lock them down. You're able to lock your core players, and that's exactly what they have here. They have their core players locked down
Right.
in Larkin, Raymond, and Sider. You get them for under 10 million um,
You get him for under
per
9.
year. Yes,
You get
you
him
get
for
them.
under
Yeah,
9.
you get them under 9, which is incredible. Now, I'll tell you why that's incredible. Because the salary cap is going to continue to go up in the NHL,
Yep.
which means by the time that these deals are put in place, they're already going to be a huge value for this team.
Mhm.
Not to mention, you're going to have some of these contracts also come off the books. You're going to have Cop eventually come off the books. You're going to have JT Compher eventually come off the books. But JT Compher is still a
Jeff Petrie, Ben
Jeff
Sherrod.
Petrie's, yeah, Jeff Petrie, Ben Sherratt. But JT Compher's a good player for this team.
Yep.
Um, Considering he could very well slot into that second center role. On the team this coming season. We'll have to see how some things kind of shape out. But yeah, with the cap probably going up, this is huge
Yep.
value that the Red Wings were able to get from this. Um, the only thing is, yeah, maybe you'd want you're maybe you're kind of hoping to get Cider, that extra year to make it 8 as well, but, it's no big deal. It's still a 7-year deal. It's still a long-term deal.
Right.
And like you mentioned, it's below 9 million per. Uh, Look, there's GMs around this league that would be salivating over the opportunity to have a top 6 forward, young forward, who's only going to get better,
Yeah.
locked down, and a top pairing defenseman, again, young, only going to get better, locked
Right.
down. That doesn't happen a whole lot, especially at that price. And come to think of it, too, this team is going to have a ton of money to work with, too, here in the next couple of years as well.
A and a
So, I mean,
young crop waiting in the wings in
yep,
Grand
and a
Rapids
long,
and below.
yeah, and that's the thing too. Is this training camp and this preseason is going to be very, very interesting because, um, you're gonna have guys like Nick Danielson, Carter
Yep.
Mazer, who are going to be making plays to, and making strides to make this team out of camp. And
Simone
some of
Edvinsson announced that he's gonna be in the 4th line for the defense, which I think is
Yep, and that's the
massive.
thing. Yep, and Simone Edmondson, he's going to be slated to be a rookie this year, even though he saw plenty of time last year.
Yeah.
He didn't quite, shed that rookie role, but which is fine. Who cares? But I mean, when right there behind Raymond, or not Raymond, behind Sider as, the team's most, crucial and effective defenseman. So, yeah, I mean, it was they're two amazing deals. This team is really set up for some long-term success. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to make the playoffs this year. Now, as crazy as that may sound, I'm not saying that and that's something the Red Wings fans need to understand too. Um, there's a chance that this team does not make the playoffs this year. And
Just because there's so many good teams in the East.
there's so many good teams in the East. This team still has holes to fill. Um, And you know what? It could be possible that some of these young guys like Carter Mazer and Nate Danielson make this team out of camp. In which case, if that's the case, then yeah, this team could take a little bit of a step back this year. And you know what? That's okay. That is completely okay. And I know Red Wings fans have been waiting a long time to return to the playoffs. I get it. Garrett, I know you get it. We're both Red
Yeah.
Wings fans, but I don't think a lot of Red Wings fans fully comprehend where this team was at when Ken Holland left the organization. You talk about bare
Easter
bones.
weekend 2019, I'm gonna shit you not, and you're gonna laugh because this will probably be the second most sacrilegious thing I've said in our conversations in the last 48 hours. Um, Good Friday, Steve Yzerman announcing as being the new general manager. The resurrection came 48 hours early for the Detroit Red Wings, at least, because we went through hell. The black, the our shroud and all that's been horrific. And now, granted, has it been painful a little bit after that? Yes, but that's what it was going to be. It was people learning in these moments, getting their wins in there. And it's very similar to what happened in Tampa Bay for couple of years. Yeah, Eiserman's first year in Tampa, they were one game away from making the Stanley Cup final, but they didn't make the playoffs for a couple of years after, and even had an off year making the playoffs before their last great run, which culminated in cups after Steve Yzerman left. So we've also, I felt like, been unfortunately in maybe the strongest division in hockey for what the last 5, 6, 7 years at least. One of our division teams has made it to the Stanley Cup final or won it. So
Mhm.
since the 2019 season, I feel like. And that tells you something of the juggernaut that this thing is. Now, do I feel like that there's an opportunity for us to sneak up in the division this year? When you look at questions are going to be asked about the Lightning, questions are going to be asked about the Maple Leafs, especially that fun stat line. You talked about Larkin, Sider, Raymond, all under 9 million. The three of them together, still less money than just Austin Matthews and William Nylander in their deals.
It's a
And
good.
then you have the whole Marner thing too. That's
Mhm.
just like Toronto's top heavy, but I think the wings can be deeper. The question that I am going to here's my issue, and you know what my one big issue is going to be with this Red Wings. What's the goaltending situation going to be? Because you have three out and outs. Now, the big question is one, how healthy is Billy Huso? That's the first thing. Because of the three out and out goaltenders, your youngest guy is the one that's most banged up. Um, what are you going to do in that situation? Because Cam Talbot, great piece of business. You know that's maybe my favorite piece of business in terms that and the Tarasenko, Vladimir Tarasenko joining are my two favorite pieces of business by the Winds done in the summer as far as talent brought in. Um, Alex Lyon can't play more than 30 to 35 games or 40 games. We saw what happened last year when he had to take on a heavy, heavy workload. And we appreciate the workload on there, but unfortunately, it was a bridge too far in this case.
Yeah,
What
it's gonna be.
That's
It's
my
gonna.
issue.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Cam Talbot and, Alex Lyon show this year. I mean, that's what it's all gonna come down to, and they've already, Steve Eisman has already told us that he doesn't trust Billy Huso to stay healthy for an entire year. So, and that's fine. Nobody should trust that anymore, because Billy Huso can't stay healthy for an entire year. S
Now if he turns out to be healthy and he has a rejuvenated form, that's be great for multiple things because that is another chess piece, especially come if we turn out to be good. What do you do in March?
But then this is another reason, or another example as to why this team just isn't quite there yet, because every single contending team, um, and not just a contending team, but any team that is um, you know, primed to be a not just a team that squeaks into the playoff, but a team that can, turn some heads in the playoffs. Um, they have solid goaltending. They don't
Yeah,
have guys that you sit there and you flip flop back and forth to. They have solidified number ones. And this is what we're seeing right now. We're seeing guys on the roster. I'm talking about the goaltenders who are just keeping the seat warm for either Sebastian Cossa or Trey Augustine.
yep.
Probably Sebastian Cossa first, but and that's what this is. I mean,
And
this
then you
team
get to
is
talk about Costa Augustine being a future maybe 1-2, and that is a salivating thought in its own self,
well, I mean, if you ask me personally, I think that it's going to be one or the other.
right?
I think it's probably going to be Kosa. I think one of those. You'd have to think one of them eventually get dealt. Um, and that's fine, because they're going to be getting a pretty good haul probably in return for either one of them. But I think Kosa is probably going to be the starter at some point down the line. Relatively soon too. Maybe next
Yep.
year. You never know. So
Um, I'm looking at an Athlon Sports article because actually Steve Eisman was talking about this a day or 2 ago, quoted by him regarding Huso. "If everybody's healthy, we'll have to make a decision on carrying 3 or making a move, but we'll wait and see how things play out." So, that'll be the
yeah,
fun part. October 10th, regular season starts, Pittsburgh Penguins coming to LCA. Um, I'm so pumped for this season, you have no idea. Um, but I also know, like, it's gonna be difficult, it's gonna be pumped, and another thing too, when I was talking about the Leafs, I didn't even talk about Boston, because Boston, a team that was doing a 1A and a 1B, they dealt their 1A to Ottawa, and they just took I don't know if I think Sway's done now, the Swayman deal's done, so I think they just wrapped him up 8 at 8.5, or is about to be close on there, so, um, questions to be asked,
it,
it's a lot
it,
to
and you know what? I'm not concerned about the Torontos or the Bostons or the Tampa Bays.
I'm concerned about
That's the
Florida. I'm concerned about Florida.
Well, I no, I'm no, they're all going to be good teams. I'm not
Right,
concerned about Florida. Those aren't the teams that the Red Wings are going to be competing with this year. The teams that the Red Wings need to be concerned about are the Ottawas and the Buffaloes, because those are the teams that they're going to be competing against for playoff spots. The Red Wings aren't going to be going into this season getting upper tier playoff spots, home
right.
ice advantage playoff spots. Um,
You think
because
they're
I know
getting a
we're gonna
wild card?
because I know yeah, I think that yes, the Red Wings are a wild card team. They're not going to go in there and like I said, get home ice advantage or anything like that. They're still a team that's rebuilding. They need to go out there and probably sign or try to acquire another forward.
Right.
They need another forward. And like I said, people are getting excited about Raymond, and they should be, because it's great. You got to lock these guys up. You got to lock up these young guys. And, we're gonna have to brink it, and hopefully, he kind of gets things turned around after last year. He kind of fell off there towards the end.
Yeah, that was
Gary
an
Shagos
inconsistent season.
Yeah, and Tarasenko is gonna be good. But Tarasenko isn't the same Tarasenko that he was, you know, 4 years ago.
Right.
Um, so again, this team is better. They're a lot better. But keep in mind, Ottawa's probably gonna be better this year. Buffalo's going to be better this year. Um, and then you
Then you look at the Metro, and you got the Islanders
And then you
uh,
get yes, you got the Islanders, you
Penguins
got the
too,
Rangers, you got, Montreal should be better this year. Yeah, the
Caps.
Penguins, the Caps. I mean, there's so many good teams in the East this year. And for the Red Wings, or for Red Wings fans to just simply look at what they did this offseason, which was good, and be like, "Oh yeah, we're making the playoffs." I think that that is ill advised. I think they need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture with this team. So
Yeah, it's be consistent enough, and if you get on a run, a good run, don't follow that up with a run that's even worse because that's how last year happened.
Well,
Uh,
you know what the key to this season really is, Garrett, and we haven't heard anything about it, which kind of worries me a little bit. The key to this season for the Red Wings, and it could very well, it was one of the reasons why they lost last year, and I haven't heard it addressed yet, is what is going on with the priority patch on the front of those jerseys? Are they going to dump those or not? Because if they have the fucking priority patch on the front of the jersey this year, then the season may as well already be over.
you didn't realize I was at a significant right now historical event, right? I went to the last Detroit Red Wings game that didn't have a commercial sponsor on the front of their sweater, and we beat the Capitals 8-3.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, our dear friend Nick Finn, he went to the next game that had the fucking priority watch, and they lost to the Islanders.
And it was so
Uh,
weird too. That was so weird how they did that because yeah, that was second half of the season, and then they announced the jersey sponsor. You
the
figure that'd be
afternoon
something
of
that
the
they
match, the afternoon of that game
yeah,
against the
you figure
Islanders.
that that'd be something that they do at the beginning of the year. Hey, we got this jerseys. I mean, can you imagine Detroit City sitting there announcing a new kit sponsor, right now, in the
Don't
season?
don't don't get dude, don't give them any ideas. They might actually do that.
Well, no, because how much money that'll cost for them to go back and I mean, they're not the Red Wings. They don't have. I'm sure they don't have the cash to go and print new kits with a new
Let
kit
this
sponsor. I don't
let
want to
us
give them the
simulation continue.
no what.
All that jokes does not include Dave Dway. He's still the fun uncle patron
Yes,
saint. This is for
no, why?
everyone else at the Church City FC.
Yeah, and watch next season. The kit sponsor is going to be priority. Oh my god.
Oh god, I will yell at Alex, right? Yeah. He gets lit. He is on there. But yeah, I think it's all gonna be fun, everything on there. A couple things I wanna note, real quick with the wins that I've noticed because you talked about the priority waste. Seems like, if you look at the training stuff, some of the stuff that's coming out of not Grand Rapids, Traverse City, and also some of the branding and the sponsorship for the Red Wings, it looks like black is becoming a little bit more of a subtle color. I'm just
No,
saying,
that's
I'm not saying
no, that's a
uniforms, I'm not saying unis, I'm just saying if you're planning your merchandise and you wanna, like, be stylistically cool on there, maybe buy some more black wing shirts just to go with the red, because red and whites are staples, but I don't know. I also
I
have 3
did I
wings.
did I did see this one. I did see this one Red Wing shirt before, and it was fucking sweet.
Yeah.
You know who was actually wearing it? Barfight Jimmy. Jimmy Fireman, old Detroit City FC player.
Oh,
Um,
the nickname I can't say on the air on here, our dear friend Mr. Filerman, F boy Filerman.
because this is before they went to USL Championship, and they all went to a Red Wing game together.
Yes,
Um,
right.
And Filerman, like, bought this black Adidas Red Wing shirt at the team shop at the LCA. Oh my god, it was so fucking sharp. Like, I was thinking
Mhm.
about, like, DMing him and offering him to buy it off him because I know he's not a fucking Red Wings fan. He's from Washington or the
Oh,
Virginia area.
He's a
Um,
Caps or Devils fan for sure. One
yeah,
of those
yeah,
2,
I'm sure he's
probably.
probably a I'm sure he's probably a Cavs fan, but, oh my god, I tried looking for this shirt, and I could not find it, but it was so fucking cool, I loved it so much. I'm not like, the type of stuff that I like, I don't like very, like, elaborate stuff, I like very basic, like,
Clean,
shirts. Yes,
clean.
like, this is the Lion shirt I'm wearing right now. I love this Lion shirt because it's, like, it's so basic, but,
Mhm.
that's the kind of stuff that I like, and that's exactly what this shirt was. It had, like, the Adidas logo at the top, and then it said, like, Detroit Red Wings hockey or something like that, and it was fucking cool, and I wish I could find it, but
We
I haven't been able to find it yet.
we are getting at least 1 new uniform because of the Stadium Series game in Columbus at Ohio Stadium.
Yep,
So my guess is knowing Stadium Series, Winter Classic and Heritage Classic, Centennial Classic is more throwback, vintagey. Stadium Series is very more modern,
yep.
very either big decal, iridescent, metallic-y. That might be where they throw some black as a subtle thing. We'll see. We're not gonna probably know about that till maybe the end of this year, early next year. That'll be my guess.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm in the minority with this, but I love the Stadium Series jersey that they had. Was it when they played Colorado?
They had
Um,
good merch. I have to get used to the D because I
I
think I
love
was
that D. I
expecting a
loved
clean.
it. I loved it. I love that D so much.
The white gloves were fresh. The white gloves in that uniform was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun on there, against the Blue Jackets at that, I think it's what, March 1st is that game? I believe, maybe not, something around those lines. You were talking about the Lions, good transition. Going into week 3 after losing at home in week 2 like they did last year, so it's nothing unusual if you think about it. 2016 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Things that I'm gonna note real quick on here. Defense played out of their mind. They did everything they could to give this team a chance in the game. Questionable play calling at times, Jared Goff early on, but then again, my critique is preseason, none of your starters got at least a series or a snap. So I think they're getting the rhythm going still, so that's the
Yep.
unfortunate. Um, Gibbs, great. Amon was great. I hope it was just cramps and everything and not like a
Yeah, it's
long-term injury.
it sounds like he like Amon-Ra was is gonna be okay. He's the only 2, there's only 2 players that didn't practice today. I can't remember who was the other one. Ennis Ragshaw was the other one, but Amon-Ra
Anzalone
was
probably, right?
no,
Was it
Anzalone was practicing. Anzalone was practicing. So, I mean, it seems like they're, for the most part, ready to go.
is if it was if he's still out, right?
I believe so, yeah. I think that was the
Yeah,
other one. I wish I had it in front of me, but I don't.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think they said a contusion Amon-Ra, so he should be good to go Sunday. So
Playing an Arizona Cardinals team, 1-1. Had a 17-3 lead at Buffalo in week 1, let that slip. Kicked the absolute living shit out of the Los Angeles Rams last Sunday. 3 things I noticed in particular on there. If Kyler Murray has time to roam around in the pocket, that opens up Marvin Harrison Jr. and the rest of the receiving core, and James Conner had a good game. So I feel like if you contain Murray to an extent, you have a good chance and helps, limit or neutralize the things on there. Um, be a little bit more sharper offensively, and you got the best 1-2 run tandem in the league, use it. Were you like me, feeling not as bothered as maybe one could be on after Sunday's loss to the Bucks going into
I
this game?
mean, yeah, I mean, it's a long season.
Right.
Tampa Bay was a playoff team last year. They're probably going to be a playoff team this year. Um, it's a game they should have won, but you know what? There's going to be games this year that the Lions should have won, but they didn't. And there may be games where they should lose and they don't. Bottom line is the Detroit Lions are one of the best teams in the NFC, and they could very well win the Super Bowl this year. Um, but setbacks like this happen, and you look around the league. in week 2 as far as teams that lost, um, who maybe shouldn't have lost and you wouldn't expect to lose, but they did. That's football,
Yeah,
and it's gonna happen. So, again, you just you put it behind you and you look ahead to the next week, and they can't be dwelling on that. And I expect them to come back with a better game plan. But I think you mentioned it too, like, the preseason and not really having one, still looking, still looking rusty, still, not totally in sync and ready to go. But that stuff that's going to come. So, um, they could be in a much, much, much worse position right now. You could be the LA Rams going into week 3 with, it seems like, half the roster on IR. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, it's yeah.
I think
I'm not worried about it. Nobody else should be worried about it.
yeah, I think, it'll be a big game, um, on there. So, how do you if you were to feel like you feel, how are you feeling about Arizona? Do you feel like the game against LA is an accurate representation of where they at, or is it just LA was that banged up that the Cardinals were able to capitalize?
I didn't pick For some reason, I didn't pick LA, or I didn't pick Arizona to win that game, which I obviously should have in hindsight, but even beforehand, um, you could see something like that coming. Um, Considering what LA lost in the offseason, how banged up they were going into that game, and what they no longer are on that offensive line and on the defensive line, yeah, something like that was kind of in the making. But no, Arizona's a good team. Arizona is you saw what they were doing early against Buffalo. You ultimately saw what they did against LA. This isn't a team that the Lions can take off. This isn't a team that the Lions can look past. They do that, they're going to lose.
Right.
Um, so yeah, and I don't expect them to do that. Look, I mean, last year the Lions didn't lose 2 games in a row all season, and I expect them to go into this game and win. So, um, is it going to be is it going to be easy? No.
Never is.
It never is. Not in the NFL, at least. That's why I thought last week, and I don't know if I said it on Detroit City Sportscast or anything like that, but I know what I said. I said it in some back channel chats that I thought that seven line that the Lions were giving was way too much, and obviously it turned out to be the case.
Yep,
That's something like that is just way too much in the NFL, and you saw it around the league. Even some teams that won that should have won, they were fucking close games.
yep.
And again, that's just the NFL. It's
Only
gonna it's
blowouts
gonna
only big blowouts were Cardinals against the Rams, Saints against the Cowboys, which I loved, and I
Mhm.
think everyone except Cowboys fans, which is the rest of the United States for the most part, um, enjoyed that one. And yeah, I think it's one of those interesting signs where, yeah, they can it's a lot of football left to be played every game. Unless you're playing maybe the Panthers this year, but
Yeah.
that's a different story.
Dolphins got the
Um,
shit kicked out of them too, but obviously the Tua thing was scary, and
yeah,
um, you know,
yeah, that one was that one was a unfortunate on there. Hope the best for Tua Tagovailoa. It sounds like he's on the IR for at least 4 weeks, but I do wonder, 4th concussion in 2 years, 3 seasons now. Is it, you know, how much longer are you gonna go before you call it? So, and I think someone like him, I think he does have a future in the game outside of playing, so I don't think there's an issue there. I think he's set there. It's just, it's a decision I think that they have to make he has to make with his family, and that makes sense also too, and maybe also with the organization too, the way contracts are unfortunately set up, I think, in the league. Fun little predictor, all whites debut so what do you think? All whites, white and blues, white and silvers? What are you thinking for Sunday?
I hope they go all whites.
Yeah,
I hope they go all whites. Um, but even last week, didn't they have the least success with the Blues and the Silver Pants last year?
All 3 home losses last year and 1 away game, were lost with either the traditional the racing stripe silver pants or the unadorned silver pants, which is what you'll see for throwback or potentially when we're on there. So, yeah, I get it. I do love the traditional look, especially with the new unis. They fucking pop.
Can't do them
But
anymore though.
or you wore all blue in both the Rams and the Bucks games in the playoffs. You did it against the Rams, you won. You fucked with you fucked with what worked. Now, on the road in Tampa, they wore the racing strip silver pants and they won. Or I think the Lions called them gray that weekend. You and I had a big convo. I'm like, "Are they silver? Are they gray? What are they?" So yeah,
I think
that's
it was
something that
irresponsible calling them gray. There's no gray that's part of the Lions color palette. It's
yeah,
Honolulu blue and silver.
it's
So,
the blue and silver wave.
I
Uh,
don't know who the fuck on that team called them gray, but that's like sacrilege almost. So,
it's not blue and silver gray, it's blue and silver wave. Um, yeah, great. God, I sound like a fucking boomer saying it like that. Speaking of transitions, a place that some boomers do not enjoy being at, Keyboard Stadium, Detroit City FC. Um, Les Rouge, you and I were absolutely fucking shocked on Saturday. A game that we had no after getting 7 out of 9 points on the road against Las Vegas Lights, Birmingham Legion, and Tampa Bay Rowdies. The latter 2 of those you win. You then have a run of 3 games against Tulsa at home, Hartford Athletic at home, and El Paso Locomotive away, and you gain 2 points out of that. To now have 2 matchups against the Western Conference leaders and the Eastern Conference leaders at home. You play the Western Conference leaders on Saturday, and we won for the first time at home in 3 months. Um, you guys had fun on 451. Did you drop? Is Tunnel Talk out yet, or am I the only one that's seen the?
not yet. It'll be out tomorrow.
So yeah, I caught it in post. I was on assignment duty watching Tigers Royals, and okay, AEW Dynamite was on the tablet. So yeah, it was a fun one. Y'all had fun. Jaime should get checked for, memory loss, I think, but I'll leave y'all to watch and you'll reference what I'm talking about. Louisville City, Eastern Conference leaders, juggernauts, more resources than maybe all of NISA and USL League. Well, not all USL League One because League One's got some money, but definitely all of NISA and MPSL for sure combined. Um, Top of the Eastern Conference, top of the USL Championship. Uh, 5-1 winners against Detroit City, in May, although it was 1-1 at the half. It was just the wheels came off for City in that second half. National television, ESPN2, 3 PM on a Sunday afternoon, in between a Tigers Orioles in the midst of a playoff run and a Lions Cardinals game. How do you feel Keyworth is going to be on that type of day? And how do you is there anything you're expecting really of this DCFC side, or are you treating it like New Mexico, just go in, house money, fuck it, let's see what happens?
I'm treating it like how the New Mexico game was because especially since you already got that win against New Mexico,
Yeah,
this one isn't as dire because what was it? When we were recording Make City Make Spence last week, we were talking about, hey, if you come out of these two matches with 2 points, then that's gonna be amazing. Well,
yeah.
now you've got 3 points at least in these two matches. So that's already a win. Um, despite how close the playoff race and everything is. Um, I mean, obviously you wanna win this game still. And it would certainly help. Um even a draw would be great, but I just, looking at this one, I really don't think they have a whole lot to lose here.
Nope.
And with that said, I think that they need to do exactly what they did, and I mentioned this too on Tunnel Talk, which will be coming out tomorrow. Uh, they need to they need to apply pressure.
Yep.
This isn't a game that they can afford to sit back on their, and rely on their defense with. You park the bus, you're going to lose against Louisville. They have
You
way
park
too much. They have
you
way
park
too
the
much
bus, you're gonna
firepower.
get backhanded on the at home on national
And
television.
the thing is too is how did they score that goal? How did they get that penalty that resulted in the goal for them against New Mexico? They were applying pressure,
Yep.
and when you apply pressure, especially against good teams also have the tendency to make mistakes, which is exactly what happened in New Mexico. You do that against Louisville, you get a bounce that goes your way, you get another penalty, or you get a deflection or an own goal or something like that. Um, then yeah, you take it. It's this isn't like facing Miami or El Paso or anything like that, where you just want to go in there and just dominate from, you know, the first minute to the 90th minute. It's you got to go in, you got to pressure, you got to see what you can get out of that pressure. You don't do
Yeah.
that, you sit back, you're gonna fucking get demolished.
I do you see same starting 11 as Saturday?
Uh, you know, whenever we say like, yeah, we're gonna see the same starting 11, Danny always comes back and doesn't put
7
out the same
changes
start.
like he did against fucking Tulsa or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the only thing that we're like, again, primer for Tunnel Talk. We talked about some guys who are kind of who have like solidified themselves in this lineup. Um, I will say this. I don't know what the shape is going to be, but I'll say that you'll probably see Ben start. You'll probably see Kisiadu start. You'll probably see Maxi start, and you're going to see Devin and Steven as your two center backs, and probably Carlos in goal. And that's it. That's it. I
Car
don't know. I don't know how else the rest of that shape is going to be, or who else
Carlo
is going to be starting.
Carlos Saldana should definitely be starting, I think, in this one. He's got the hot hand, 2 straight clean sheets, 1 goal allowed in the last 3. Um, and but will that I also do wonder, I think the fun battle will be, are they gonna stick with Connor Rutz in the starting lineup, or do you slot Reese Williams or Jesse El Cedeno in? Um, that I think will be an interesting move, on there. So, 3 PM on ESPN2. We kinda talked about this, you and I, a little bit on Wednesday, but then some more fun stuff has shifted a little bit. Tigers Orioles, game 3 of that series at 1:35. Detroit City hosting Louisville City, 3 PM, ESPN2. Lions, 4:25 at the Cardinals. Order of importance. How are you ranking them?
Order of importance. Well, since the Tigers lost today, I mean, probably the most important game is probably the Tigers game. Um, Only because they lost today. If the Tigers won today or tonight, then it was probably be the Lions. Um, if the Tigers win tomorrow, I don't know.
Give you an update in Boston. It's 1-1,
Mhm.
bottom 10. 10th inning just ended, so it's going into the 11th. Um, the Royals are trailing 2-0 at home. The Royals are down to the Giants 2-0. Giants are up with a man on, 2 out, top 9. So there may not be any ground loss in that. The Mariners are 8-2 up in Texas. So the Mariners, if they win,
I'm not concerned about the Mariners.
Not yet.
Just worry about the teams in front of you. That's it.
Right, because the other teams that can collapse, that's where the Mariners can then
Yeah.
potentially get in.
Just worry about the teams in front of you. I'm not concerned about the Bears. Okay, and realistically, yeah, it's the Tigers game that's going to be most important. Um, Tigers, Lions, City.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit City's gonna be 3rd, and I know, like, people are like, "Yeah, but it's City and all that." It's like, the minute y'all booked Detroit City to be on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of September, 1, during Lions season,
Well, the Detroit City's already in the playoffs right now. I mean, they haven't
they're
clinched
already
anything.
they have already eclipsed last year in terms
They've
of
already
points
eclipsed.
and goals.
Yes, yes, they've eclipsed last year. Yeah, they haven't wrapped anything up by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, considering how tight the East is, but
Yeah.
this is a game that we already have penciled in as a loss.
Mhm.
So be it. I
If
mean,
anything
they go on the road and play Monterey Bay next weekend, which is a game that they should win. Um, so whatever. Uh,
If anything, I'm gonna look around the rest of the Eastern Conference this weekend, not more so than Detroit City, Louisville City, because Detroit City hold the last home playoff spot in the USL Championship, um, and they're 2 points ahead of Indy 11. Indy have to go to a North Carolina FC side who are difficult to play at home, even the Louisville
And Indies look like shit the past few weeks too. So
the team ahead of Detroit City in the Eastern Conference, 4 points ahead, Tampa Bay Rowdies. They have to go to the 2nd place Charleston Battery. Rowdies themselves have been a little bit inconsistent. So not saying I don't think it matters in the end. I don't think it matters if Detroit City finished 3rd. I think Detroit City need to do whatever they can to get the last home playoff spot.
you know what
Uh,
the thing with City too, um, whether they finish fourth, fifth, I, any of these teams really, I'm not really too concerned about.
nope.
The only teams in the East that I'm concerned about playing in the first round is Lou City and Charleston. And already
Yep.
beat Charleston this year. Other than that, is there really a big difference between Indy 11, uh, Birmingham Legion, Rhode Island,
Loudon.
Hartford, who could potentially, be in there? Um,
Even
I'm
Tampa
sorry,
Bay this year
even Tampa Bay to some extent, again, who Detroit also beat this year. Um,
took 4 out of 6 points.
yeah, I mean, is there anybody aside from the top two teams that anybody's really nervous about? No.
No.
So as
And you
long as
know
they
what? And part of me is saying this, I want if we're not gonna get 4, I want 5 because I want the shot. You and I talked about this. Detroit City, I think, as the unsung folk of USL Championship, uh, caught a lot of people off guard, including ourselves, by somehow making it into the playoffs last year in that season that we had. To then go in and take on the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who had the best regular season record in USL Championship history. To then lose Pittsburgh Riverhounds to lose to Detroit City FC somehow, some way by the foot of young Dominic Gassa, who's now on loan at Huntsville City in MLS Next Pro. Um, I want Lewis City in round 2 because reason why I'm saying this, Louisville City in all 9 years or so in the US because we were talking about parity in baseball being great. Unfortunately, to talk about the lack of parity when it comes to the USO and the Eastern Conference, or what even division formats, Louisville City has made the champion conference final every year of their existence.
yeah,
So,
I'd love to end that run.
and imagine if it's us that knocks them out.
That'd be great. I'd love it.
Um,
I wouldn't care about not winning the championship next year or this year too if we were happen to do that.
we've
I mean,
won
of
the
course, I'd
war.
want to win it, but
We would have won the war. It doesn't matter about the battles at that point. The war's been won. That's motivation on there. Give me
and last year we only made it into the playoffs because of honorary Detroit City FC player in Sacramento.
Bluefield Hill State of Russell Cicerone, who unfortunately flipped us back off this summer by scoring the winner for Sacramento when we played us.
Yeah,
But
fuck
that's
him,
it's
but yeah, fuck
yeah.
him, but whatever.
Yeah, that happens. So
I
yeah,
don't
I
know
think it's
what I don't know when maybe he comes back home this coming off season.
well, so what is he gonna follow the Dario Suarez train in terms of so Dario goes from persona non grata to persona most beloved, uh, and then Russell Cicerone's like, "Hey, this actually is a good story arc. I want in on this shit." Um,
Why not? As his old assistant coaches. Wait, yeah, his old assistant coach is here, so why not?
yeah, and
His old teammate and Carlos Saldana's here, and
shout out to Carlos Saldana joining us post match Saturday for the interview. Um, great to hear his thoughts. Motivated. Also, cool video the club put out with how the goalkeeping dynamic on this team with Carlos Saldana and Nate Steinwasser. Uh, as mentioned, if you haven't checked out the interview with Dave DeWahey from now almost 2 weeks ago, go out and check that out. Fun developments coming up in the women's game, not just in W League, but also indoor for MASL. Adams, one partly looking forward to it, but partly sweating behind the scenes in his other gig as a supporter. But those details hope to drop out soon. That's all I'm going to say there. Yeah, and we'll see how it all goes on Sunday for Detroit City FC, 3 p.m. Sunday. But I agree with you. Um, it's almost a 1A. It's not just one. It's not 1, 2, 3 for me. It's 1A, 1B, and then Detroit City at a distant third. So
yeah, that's fair. I like that.
Detroit City is a distant third in this situation. And I know people go be like, "Oh, but City till we die," and all that. Nope. But house money, fuck it. Let's see what happens.
It's
Distant third.
strategic. It's strategic. It's strategic. It's strategic. It's strategic.
There's reasons behind the method to the madness. There's a reason why that was the most casual I ever showed up at media. Probably need to stick to that now,
There
going
was
forward.
well, I mean, in all fairness, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know that we have one more piece of city news to drop tonight or talk about
Yep,
tonight.
yep.
Um, there's something exciting. I mean, because the national TV is exciting and everything like that. So, and that's going to be fun, and Lou City and everything. Let's hope we don't get our asses kicked. But um, club announced on Thursday that
Yep.
they plan to break ground on their new stadium over at the old Southwest Detroit Hospital site on Michigan Avenue and 20th on the border of Corktown and Southwest Detroit
Cork,
this coming spring.
Corktown and Mexican in the heart of Southwest Detroit. Yeah, exciting times. And also, Detroit City FC with a big part in the Cranes homecoming event, which is where that details were dropped. Cranes homecoming, if those aren't sure in there, it is a prominent event in the business community. A lot of executives that had roots Detroit and the surrounding, they all come home from there. ISO is on there, as part of the company that assists in greatly in that they go to for rental needs and stuff like that. To then see, I think City Clubhouse hosted a Cranes event itself last night even too. So in that sense, good to see that for the club in terms of eyeballs.
They
The
keep on
type of
buying up land too, so it's gonna be interesting to see where they exactly what's going to be going on these hits because they talk about housing, um, obviously the stadium. They talked because I think Sean Mann said that they have like roughly 17 acres of land now within their real estate portfolio here. Uh, so there's that, and the housing thing is great too because you don't see that a whole lot with these stadium projects. The only thing you hear about is this big shiny stadium and then plenty of retail to surround it, like the District Detroit, which obviously don't get anybody started on that.
we will be here all night if we decide to talk about
Yeah, but the other interesting tidbit to come out of that is it seems like the Detroit City Clubhouse slash Fieldhouse is going to be sticking around as well. Um, and I always thought that that was kind of a big question mark,
that. Yep.
considering whether or not that was going to be something that the club wanted to continue to maintain. or if they were gonna kind of move everything over to, kind of this new site, over in on Michigan Avenue and 20th. But no, it seems like the clubhouse is gonna be sticking around, which is pretty cool. I don't
It's
I
good
wa
for that
you
area in particular, especially with, Martin Luther King High School across.
Yeah,
Um,
and obviously
uh,
them kind of, getting into getting more of the indoor game as well, so
yeah, I'll actually be there tomorrow, not tomorrow during the day, just because the clubhouse will be open for operations for international matches, so, I'll be there in the middle of the day, so that'll be exciting to see what any fun tidbits on there, especially because I think the guys are coming back. Guys do have a training session. I think they'll be back or just getting back to after that too. So kind of maybe get a rundown as to what to expect on here. Um, I think we've covered a good amount tonight. Is there anything else you want to put in?
no, think I'm good.
Ways to check out the show: Detroit.themajorsports.com. All of your Majors Detroit content, Channel 451 content for those Detroit City FC sickos. We know who you are. You exist everywhere. Um, give me some other things. What else am I forgetting, bud?
Well, you can check out the live episodes here on YouTube at youtube.com/the majors TV, and then find us on our socials at TMS Next Detroit. And you can find me on Twitter as well at TMS Next Adam.
Twitter, Instagram, Discord for me at GM Comats. Yeah, like I said, 451DET on Twitter for that. Or if you want to be an old fashioned sicko, 451DET at gmail.com. We haven't read anything yet. I think one of our usual emailers emailed us back earlier during the week. I got the notification for that, but I think we have to look at that later on. So, but yeah, I think that's it essentially for now. Big weekend continuing for Detroit sports. We haven't even touched base in the college game. It's a big weekend for the college stuff. Michigan State going to Boston College, looking to become 4-0. Michigan hosting USC in a big because USC Michigan in a Big Ten. You realize how fucking weird that is to me
It's pretty weird.
to say that on there. But yeah, a lot of good things going on in there too. The Red Wings are doing training camp stuff in Traverse City. So and then as mentioned, the three this weekend. Tigers Orioles series. Tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock is game two. Reese Olson looks like he's on the mound. Undecided for game three. That's Sunday, 1:35 p.m. Eastern. Both Saturday and Sunday back on Bally. Apple TV matches are done in there. Shout out to Puck and Kate for helping me out today with the Apple, so I didn't have to spend $10 to watch the game. And Lions, 4:25 p.m. at Arizona, 1-1 versus 1-1. Big matchup. Detroit City, hoping to not get embarrassed on national television. House money game. Louisville City FC coming into town, 3 p.m. ESPN2 on Sunday. Strap in, enjoy yourselves, be safe wherever you are. Adam over there, Garrett over here. Thank you for checking this out. Till next time. See ya.
See ya.